We got all kinds of things pop up on our computers. So when we look at stocks, and I want to go back to stocks real quick and talk about how we invest in stocks, and then we'll get into mutual funds and ETFs because that goes right into how to actually invest in larger portfolios of stocks and bonds. So there's different ways to invest in stocks, and one is through mutual funds and ETFs, but the other is through just buying the stock by itself. Okay, I know we've got a lot of stock investors in here, and so one way is to open up an account with a brokerage company. It could be a Schwab, could be a Vanguard, Fidelity. I mean, we don't like to talk about those other guys all the time, but you could do it with a lot of different firms out there, and you can go on and basically just buy the stock. You could buy one share of that stock up to as many shares as you wish to put money into. And then you become a shareholder of that corporation. And so you'll get all the benefits of being a shareholder through that. Now, you'll also take on all the risk. So if that's the only stock that you own, you're going to take 100% of the risk of that organization. So let's say we were to buy Apple, and Apple, what phone do they have coming out now? 10 or something? Let's say it's not as cool as everybody thought, and the hype really wasn't worth it, and the earnings are starting to drift off. Or maybe Apple's having a hard time in coming up with new products, and they have to put out these new phones and make it look like they're new products, and people catch on, right? But anyway, so I'm not saying anything. But so now people might think, well, maybe the profitability of this company is not going to be as great as it once was. So now we're going to see people start to exit that stock. And so if that's all you owned, then you're going to take all that risk on as an investor. And so we want to make sure we diversify. So on a side note, so speaking of stock ownership, so I've been helping my daughter kind of get started in investing. She's 11. And so I said, hey, let's start buying some stocks. I want to show you how this works, and let's talk about what stocks you want to buy. And so one, of course, she's got an iPhone. I think she has better iPhone than I do. But she's got an iPhone, and so she goes, well, can we buy Apple stock? I go, of course we can. So we go on, we buy Apple stock. I explained to her how it works. Now I explained that she's an owner. Now she goes around and tells everybody, I own Apple. I own Apple. I go, honey, the amount of Apple you own, I don't even know how to say that in an actual term. It's so far down the decimal line that in terms of your ownership. So
one side story, your side story is my kids, I bought Apple for them too, and they got paid a dividend.
Oh, yep.
So I showed it to them on their statement. I said, look guys, there's your dividend, shows up in cash in your account. And I explained to my 11-year-old how that works. And he said, you mean I get something for doing nothing? And sort of that's how he was looking at it. But I had to explain that, well, it's not nothing. You're actually putting your money at risk in order to get that dividend. So you're actually doing something.
And did you talk to him about how you have to actually work to make money, and then that money goes into? So you actually did something initially to get the money to put it in there, right? So those are the different stocks. So we can buy stocks individually on their own through a brokerage firm. You pay a commission. Commissions are so cheap nowadays. I think ours is $4.95. They go anywhere from that up to some of the larger firms are a little bit more expensive, but very, very easy to buy stock nowadays. Very inexpensive. We just want to make sure that when you are doing that you're considering the risks that you are taking. So when you buy one stock on its own, you're taking all that risk. So we really want to talk about how to diversify your holdings, and one way to do that is through mutual funds and ETFs.